Welcome everyone. Music. There we go. Let me just adjust. Yeah. All right. So, a couple things happened. Uh, Last week, I didn't stream on Friday because I actually didn't know that I would have family over on that day. I was warned about it very on top of the hour, so there was really no way of properly communicating that to you, and I apologize for that. Secondly, I got the results from my college application and I got rejected. So it feels like it's gonna be another year of working and figuring stuff out. You know, the plan is probably to get a part-time job or something just to make a bit of money and to not take too much time from this experiment with social media and streaming and that sort of stuff. And my goal is to be doing commissions at a steady pace by the end of the year. I think I can reach that level, you know. And that's pretty much it. So, we left off at line art, right? I just want to add a few last minute details that I might have ignored. You know, I've had some time to think about life in general, and I kind of realized that to to succeed in life, it means to come after something else. And that something else, I reckon, is hard work, right? And right now, I'm in the phase of hard work. I show up to the streams, I try to improve the quality. You know, I edit clips from the stream, and I'm hoping that I can finally get the independent animations off the ground and start uh, eventually start posting them on YouTube. See if I get a little bit of traction there. You know, just get my art out there and to do some commissions. It feels like a lot to do, and technically it is, but I believe I can do it. And that's the important part. As long as we can believe in it, we can do it. I think about line arts, everything's pretty much done. I still feel a bit iffy about the leg, but we're gonna leave it like that. Also, I was working during the weekend, so I kind of changed the navigator. Let's put it big again. Alright. I'm gonna make a folder with colors. And this is fine arts. Yeah. So I realized that success is progression, right? It requires something from before, and that something is hard work. It's not like I wasn't working hard, but you know, different people need different amounts of work, and I might be one of those that needs more. So that is okay. My parents are a bit worried, you know, because I don't have a lot of options when it comes to studies. Let me just clean my glasses real quick. But I feel like if I keep at it, you know, with targeted effort into improving and not just mass producing stuff, I think, you know, truly understand how YouTube works, how Twitter works, how Twitch works, I think I have a lot of room to grow. Yeah, it was an eventful weekend for me. And I was very, very stressed because they delivered the results almost like 24 hours too late. So that is a bit too much, I think. Yeah, I can adjust the skin later. Okay. Now, I didn't draw any details there. It's kind of not good. Didn't even notice like the details of the roots. Gonna do something like this. Yeah. You know, sometimes life doesn't go the way you want it to go. But it always goes the way it has to go. Who knows? You know? Maybe I will be able to grow this year in a way that perhaps I wouldn't be able to grow if I was in school already. Since I'm only human, I cannot make everything at the same time. So there's only so much time in a day and so many days in a week. Yeah. And another thing that I've noticed is that when you're doing something, right? The success, or at least the ability of you achieving that thing that you're aiming for, is limited by whether or not you're still doing it, right? So as long as you don't stop doing it, it doesn't guarantee that you will succeed, but it guarantees that you're in the process of succeeding. You know, you're setting up the necessary conditions for it to happen. And so what we can do is make sure that the amount of conditions that limit us are minimal. So to succeed, we just need to make sure that the only things stopping us are ourselves, by quitting. You know, if you quit, you won't succeed. Things don't fall out of the sky, right? Or you die. A bit morbid, I know, but it's kinda my point. It's you know, when a person passes away, they're no longer able to work on their goals, so that inevitably stops us. If we quit, nobody's gonna work for us on it, so progress stops and you're unable to succeed. But if you continue to work, you stop those problems, you minimize the doubts of whether or not you will succeed. Only by quitting or dying will you absolutely be sure that you will fail. And I think that's comforting, because looking at it that way, it makes it look, as long as you ignore the amount of time that it might take, you know. So to some people it takes decades or entire lifetime. But if your goal is to be recognized, you know, knowing that it's very likely that it will happen one day, it's very comforting for me. And it gives me strength to keep going. And you know, I'm talking about art, but I could be talking about any other area, honestly. It would work just as fine. I'm gonna just do this real quick, because I think that's... Oh. Wait, what? Why is it painting the blue? What? Oh, they're all in the same layer. No. Okay. Do like this then. Yeah. So I'm gonna go back to color block and using layers, correction layers, to paint things. Just collapse that. Okay, now we can paint this, 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 and this. This. Yeah. It's kind of like that. It's a very long in progress action, the way I see it. So obviously it's going to take a long time. And honestly, for me, that's okay. a bit of a cope, some people might say, but I am not too bothered by that. On the other hand, my parents, you know, they want me to do better than them, but life as an artist sometimes goes very differently than the non-artist person, and it can be hard for people outside to understand that. But I always make sure to let them know that I am doing the best that I can to set myself up for success, even though they might not understand that yet. I'm sure they will one day. Oh. And the sword. What was it? Just like that. Right. So I'm gonna make use of, you know, this whole Genshin sort of marathon. Oh no. Gonna make use of the whole Genshin marathon to find an art style that I'm comfortable with. Like, I'm sure I won't be 100% comfortable with any art style, honestly. I'm very restless when it comes to that. But at least something that I can work with, you know. Obviously with time, it's going to mutate and improve the quality, improve the speed. I already feel some changes between Tighnaughty and this one. We'll wait and see. Oh. Okay, I thought it was gonna paint everything. It didn't. That's new. Right. So all that seems to be painted. Right. So the references that I have are a bit different from each other, because some are in-game models, some are illustrations, and some are fan art, so there's a lot of variation between references. But there are some things that stay more or less consistent, and I think I'm gonna focus on those. There's this here. I made a folder to separate the colors, but honestly, I'm just painting everything in the same layer. So, doesn't seem to matter that much. Nope, that's not it. It's like this. Slightly darker. And here as well. I'm gonna make a brown on the right side. Pick up that. I'm gonna do that. Now that I look at the basic colors, it feels very French. The name also feels French, so. The sword, like the basic sword. We can just go with the gray. There's nothing really interesting about it. Excuse me. Yeah. And yeah, I think we're doing good progress. Maybe a few things I need to tweak later on. But I think we're going to try a more painterly style this time. Oh. That. There. So I think I'm gonna do this is the hair, right? Yeah. So that's the hair. Just do the eyes. It's pretty much the same color as that. So. Do this color. Can even do this color. Okay. Flipping it doesn't look too bad. So that is okay. Now Okay. Bit moody. This fill tool. Put this here. Right. So everything seems to be more or less filled. Now we need patterns. Because the clothes have a lot of patterns to them, so we need a little bit of patience, but that'll be fine. I need to pick like the color for line art. I want to see what happens if I make like light brown. You know, it feels more interesting. Because if it's black, it feels too heavy. So. I obviously don't want to make it too light, but and now look at this one. I'm gonna be doing, you know, just a simple shape to indicate the marking. It's actually kind of useful because this sort of shape can tell us how the torso is turning. So we can take advantage of that. Torso doing this. So we can use it to our advantage. From the previous topic that we were talking about, yeah, it's depressing, but if you have something that you wanna, that you really want to do in your life, you know, even if life ends up happening, you know, sometimes we have other priorities, kids happen, you know, relationships happen, and don't let those events completely stop you, right? You might need to put things in the back burner. That is fine, right? That is fine. Life happens and we need to make sure that we're alive so that we can actually achieve our goals. That's why I said we need to make sure we don't die. Because if we do, it will all be for nothing. Yeah. There's nothing sadder than knowing that you want to do something, but you're not allowed to do it. So just leave it in the back burner. Once you have more time to deal with it, you know, throw yourself into it. A lot of people die because they no longer find any purpose in life. And I can tell you that in art college, I had like substantially older people, you know, like people that were way older than me, and I was very surprised. You know, I had people that had an entire career as a math teacher or a doctor, you know, and they sort of got done with their careers, got retired, and went to study art because that's what they wanted. And you might be thinking, oh, well, that's too late. It's not, is it? Because if you achieved everything when you were young, by the time you're old, life will be kind of boring. There's no chase for anything. There's no need for anything, right? I suspect that that's one of the reasons why so many celebrities die from drug overuse and things like that. There's nothing else to conquest for them. They have the world in the palm of their hands. So everything becomes sort of meaningless. But a certain relief in being rejected from your try is knowing that you don't have to come up with a new objective. You know, you can still keep trying for the thing that you have been trying all along. It is a bit frustrating that, you know, I've been doing it for so long, but in the whole spec of my entire life, it's not that long. You know, I've been trying for 2 years. I mean, by the end of this year, it's going to be 2 years. I've been trying for 1 year. That's not a long time. And I'm trying to be a little bit more positive and a little bit more efficient. Because I think a big mistake this year was wasting time just working directly for portfolio instead of doing things for myself, you know, establishing myself as someone with a vision of the world, or someone that wants to share their vision of the world. So I'm going to dedicate myself to that this year. I want you to see what I see. I want to entertain people. Spread emotions, you know, make people reverberate with things that I make, have an impact. No matter how minuscule it is, you know, just having an impact for me is enough. And you know, I might reach the point where I never become fully professional. You know, I think my parents wouldn't enjoy that too much, but that's okay. I'm actually okay with that. Some people wouldn't be, right? They want to be professional at all costs, but I'm okay with that. Being professional is not easy. Obviously, I'm still gonna work for that. I'm actually remembering a moment that I had this year. It was like April, maybe March. I already was rejected once by this same college, and in March or April or something, I was having this feeling that I was gonna be rejected again. I was working hard and I still felt that I was gonna be rejected. And a friend of mine was saying that I was being too pessimistic, and honestly, at the time, I think I thought I was being pessimistic as well. I was a bit tired, and when I'm tired, I tend to be more negative about things. I don't have the energy to actually become optimistic. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, being optimistic for me requires energy. I tend to be a bit negative, just naturally. I don't know what it was, but I was right. I was really hoping that I wasn't, but yeah. And a weird thing that some people might not understand as well is that despite being negative, I still go with full intent to try and achieve my goals. It is something that I kind of inherited from trying gymnastics and things like that. Like, I know there's a possibility of me getting hurt, but the chances are lower if you go with intent, and you pay attention. So you go, and you might get hurt, but at the end of the day, you gotta become vulnerable in order to get what you want. That happens with a lot of stuff. Chasing your dreams, relationships, you name it. Because if you're not vulnerable, then you're in a comfortable place. Then that means you're not chasing anything. You're not desiring anything. And that's not bad, obviously. But it's not what we're talking about right now, is it? I'm assuming that we have something that we want, so we work towards it. I have no problem in, having to work in a supermarket or something. The bills don't pay themselves. That's completely fine. We do what we can with what we have. And then with a little bit of luck, which I've said before, is just being prepared and waiting for the opportunity can achieve great things. So that's pretty much all of the patterns that she has, I think. Just gonna tighten this a little bit. Some good. All right, so these are colors. I think they're nice. Now we're gonna do a bunch of adjustment layers. With a multiply. Sorry, my voice is a bit rusty. Right. Not rough shading. Actually, yes, rough shading. We're gonna be shading it a little bit, at least. Actually, I want to open Tighnari just for a second. I feel like it was kind of inspired in that work. I was mostly cell and then adjustment layers, nothing too out of the ordinary. Gotta take my jacket off. It's too hot. Actually forgot that Is it saving? Yeah, it's saving. I actually forgot there are a few other things that I still need. It's here. Let's see. There's still a few things that I still need. There's a lot of detail that I left out, unfortunately. Yeah. A little bit nicer. So what we're gonna do is cell shading, right? And we don't need multiply for that. We can just do normal. A little bit of shadow there. It's through. I never saw that. That's interesting. Okay. We're learning new things. That's good. I feel like I was editing a clip today, right? And I learned that in Premiere, you can select blank spaces between cuts, right? And you can delete the blank space, pulling the two clips together, right? I found that out by accident. So I was like, well, you can select the blank space. Maybe you can delete it too. And you can. It was surprising. And because, you know, for short clips, I do a lot of cuts. When I'm talking, there's empty space between sentences, between words, whenever I want to remember things that I want to say. And, you know, I remove those things in clips. So I have to do a lot of cuts, and it's a godsend, the ability to do that. No joke. It speeds up the process so much. And this is the sort of thing that I'm talking about. Like, progress is a succession of events, you know, efforts. And it's gonna take a while, but as long as you keep learning from it and you keep improving, things will get better. You just need time. You know, just like that friend that I referred the other day. You know, she dedicated herself to a small but dedicated community, and her following started to grow, and now she does a lot of commissions, you know, and I admire her a lot for that. She's stuck to her guns, And she worked hard for it. And she was not only hardworking, but smart working as well. And that is very commendable. Maybe I can be faster with this. Never mind. Yeah, never mind. I didn't close that. Let me just close the gaps. Maybe now? No. Well, I don't know. Yeah, just to reiterate, you've heard my goals. This year, I want to be full-time. Well, not full-time. I want to start commissions, because I doubt that I'm going to be able to be full-time anyway. Just the stream alone takes 4 hours of my day. Editing clips takes an hour, 2, just for one single clip. That never reaches a full minute. Actually, the first clip had very good visibility. I was very surprised. The second one, not so much, but the first one was really good. I think I will make memes. People seem to enjoy that. Also been learning more about how to make a PNG tuber. It's going along, but now I need to decide on a style that I want for the character. And that's the hardest part, making a decision, sticking with it. I'm very volatile when it comes to those sort of things. Because then I want to be constantly changing it. It's like it requires a lot because I want to make. Let me see. I have notes here. I want at least like 3 emotions, 3 different emotions, and I want them to be relatively smooth. So each emotion will require 4 drawings. That's going to require a lot of work. But I have been working on it during the weekends. Weekends is where I dedicate myself the most to improving the stream. So like each week, there isn't a lot of improvement. inside it the week itself. It's more like on Monday, it's things like that. But obviously, because of the college thing, I didn't work much on the stream this weekend. I was focused, something else. It's too dark. As an artist, there's a lot that I want to learn still. I want to learn more about video editing, but I want to learn more about 2D animating and compositing, and I have an entire lifetime to do that. This shade is very similar to this color, so I don't know if that's gonna be confusing or not. I hope it isn't. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it would be a good idea to introduce the VTuber, not the VTuber, the PNG tuber, when I upload the first video on the channel. Because so far I only have VODs and clips from streaming, not the actual channel, although it's mostly set up at this point. It's already linked. Oh, apologies. It's already linked, but yeah, you gotta see. I think I'm gonna make a small break. I'm even gonna call this the BRB layer. Yeah, just the BRB layer. Okay. Just gonna make a cup of tea and stretch a little bit because I'm still feeling a little bit sluggish, and I'm still, recovering from the whole situation. But yeah, I see you in like 5 minutes or so. I'm back, I'm back. There we go. Just had my cup of tea made. We're gonna continue working on the piece. I really want Jean to be made today. The next one is going to be Amber, which, you know, I know a lot of people don't care about her, which is understandable. Actually, I can just do this. Yeah. In case I need to make another break or something. I know a lot of people don't care that much about Amber. I think that's a bit sad, honestly. Oh, doesn't color the nose. Like this. You know, when I was younger, and when I mean younger, it's like when I was, what, in 8th grade or something like that. I used to draw a lot, and I do mean a lot, of anime. You know, Naruto was blowing up, you know, and I really liked the characters. I used to draw a lot of this, and drawing in this style kind of takes me back to those times. Like even in class, I drew a lot. I got into trouble because some teachers thought I wasn't paying attention when I was. You know, I actually said to one of them once that I pay attention. I listen with my ears, not my eyes. I don't know how I didn't get kicked from the class that day. But you know, technically I was right, because I was still listening. It's just that I needed some form of distraction, and I found that drawing was good to keep my hands entertained. But I had this weird habit of, instead of understanding what I was drawing, I would memorize the entire drawing. So at one point, I knew from memory how to draw Naruto, Minato, and Pain in a very specific angle because of that. Which I feel it's a bit weird, right? You usually tend to try and learn how to draw the character themselves, not just that one particular situation. Yeah. New layer. This is actually an... Oh, because everything is multiplying. Alright. It's gonna be very dark no matter what. It was incredibly jarring. You, you didn't see it yet, but I was working, on the design of my character yesterday, and I was painting in a very painterly way, very abstract and things like that. So very loose, and it's weird because now I'm cell shading is completely different, but I feel comfortable with both ways. I really don't know how to describe this. It's like I could go the simpler route and make a cell shaded, like maybe chibi even, right? But at the same time, I wanted something more serious, or that transmits a more serious tone. Just from the character itself, because of the ideas that I have. And good. This feels acceptable, right? I'm having flashbacks of rendering a smooth surface in paint. That was painful. Actually had an interesting idea now for a challenge. Just make an illustration using cross-hatching and only the 3 primary colors. That would be interesting. Very good. Okay. Nothing like a good illustration session with some Pokemon music. Alright. I think I saw from this color, right? I think so. Yeah. There's not a lot of colors to go now. I feel this is a much simpler process and it actually produces fairly interesting images. Right. Here. Still need to figure out what this is all about, but whatever. Oh, I know what it is. This is part of the line art, right? That's interesting. Right. Good. Then we need the gold, and then I will work a little bit on the face. Still like this. I think I put the dark blue and the brown in the same layer, but that's okay. Just a happy accident, really. Nothing to worry about. It's still working, so no need to fix what ain't broken. Good. I think my tea has cooled down enough, but let's see. Can't even drink tea properly. Went down the wrong pipe. It's very good. Very good. Oh, saving. Good. Now we select this one. Okay. think maybe leaving these lines would be a bit interesting, so let's do that. Yeah, let's go like that. Oh, I'm doing everything in the same layer. Save me. Oh, this eraser. Just some lines to indicate a little bit of three-dimensionality to it, you know? Always works. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, like barely noticeable, but I like it. Just gonna do like this. Yeah. Now, to accompany the shadows from the other colors, you know, so everything stays moderately consistent. I'm enjoying the look of it, actually. But there we go. It's looking pretty fine. I'm gonna leave a line there. You can barely see it, but this will be important. And here, maybe. I'm just gonna do it anyway. I'm not exactly sure, but nobody's sure all of the time. So let's have a little fun with it. Good. That's about it. Now we can just do a layer, I guess. Darken it a little bit. But it doesn't do much. It's super. Oh. It's this one. All right. Good. Now we can focus on the face, which is like a whole other can of worms. Oh, I'm sorry, people. I don't know when you arrived. Sorry. Was focused. What is up? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. How much? Have you been able to work with your getting used to the ink now? Nice, nice. Do you paint with ink wash or do you draw with ink? Still no desk. Yeah, I assume so. Fine liner at the moment. Yeah. For starting out, it's good to do the fine liner. Have a feel of what ink is capable of. Very good, very good. Ink brush pen. Nice. I actually felt a bit frustrated when I started playing with ink. The brush is a bit complicated to control, but once you get used to it, you know, it's just like writing, honestly. Just fluid media in general have this extra level of complexity. A lot of them require you to be expedite so that it doesn't dry up, and you can't control fully what you're doing, so you gotta know very well the properties of the material to know what is a good and bad idea. Right. hopefully at this rhythm I can finish Jean today, so that tomorrow we can start working on a new character, one that a lot of Genshin players hate. But you know. Also, on Friday, you probably noticed this, I didn't stream because I had a family home and I didn't know that. They kind of warned me last minute, so, and there's like no proper way of announcing, oh, this day I won't be streaming, you know? And even if I did, it would be a lot on top of the hour. But yeah, but honestly, even if I could stream, in terms of logistics, I think I wouldn't, because the results came from college and I got rejected, right? I've talked about it in the beginning of the stream. So yeah, not accepted, which means this year is going to be a lot of working for myself. And I want to have a large enough following by the end of this school year so that I can start working on commissions, you know? If just for the experience. Yeah, don't worry about that. If I count the amount of times that I've been rejected in the art field, it's probably like around 7 times. So, you know. I only have the education that I have because I persevered? Is that a word? Maybe. But because I kept going, you know. So the mindset is there. Maybe painting the hair differently from the rest of the body. It's all cell shaded, but the hair's going to be a little bit different. It's also a different type of material anyway, so I think it's not so much of a problem. I think it works to communicate the different strands. I just hope, so this year, you know, a few changes are going to happen because I didn't enter in college. You know, it's very likely that I'll get at least a part-time job, right? And depending on the job that I get, the schedule of the stream might change, which could be complicated. I hope it doesn't. Right? So I'm aiming to have a either afternoon or night shift so that the morning isn't touched. But honestly, I'm not the one that decides that. It is what it is. But yeah, in the beginning of the stream I was talking a lot about how success, even from the word itself, right? To succeed, it means to come after something, right? A succession of events. And so it implies that someone that succeeds is someone that comes after something else. And in my mind, that something else is the hard work. You know? I mean, either hard work or just scamming people, but we don't do that, you know? And, which means that the idea that we have of success is just a continuous state. It's always in progress. So, as long as we aren't incapacitated from continuing working or give up, you know, as long as we don't, we're not in those two categories, we're always in progress of success. We are not entitled to it, but we can always work towards it one way or another. And I like that view of the world. What is this layer? This layer, there's nothing. Huh, interesting. But yeah, that's how I chose to see it. Because especially for artists, right? School is not as important as for other areas, right? You will not trust an engineer that has not gotten his credentials from school. But you can certainly trust an artist because you will see the artist's work, right? So it doesn't matter if they graduated from a very fancy school. If the work is inadequate, you don't want it, right? If the work is good, but they have never put in their feet in school, doesn't matter. The work is good. Sometimes it does make me worry. Yeah. We can teach ourselves. I believe that teaching ourselves is harder, right? You need to make a lot of mistakes. You need to be very quick at exploring everything. So that you can narrow down the path or narrow down the number of correct paths. There's a plethora of them, and you need to find that group of ways of doing things and choose one, I guess. I mean, it's not like an immediate choice. It's like your actions, your continuous actions will eventually dictate the path that you took, right? Once you look back. But when you're in the moment, you just make small decisions. In a certain way, it's a bit what you're doing, right? You study, you're studying drawing and you're studying the fundamentals. And that's your path. And there's a lot of different paths that you can take. You know. I said this in the beginning of the stream, you know, I was talking about this. I had classmates that were 65 plus years old, right? They had entire lives before them, and they got retired and they started learning art. You know, nothing is stopping them. I think that's incredible. That requires a lot of strength. Because a lot of people go with the sunken cost fallacy, right? Where they think, oh, I already gotten this far in this area, so going to arts now doesn't make a lot of sense. But it makes perfect sense. As long as you enjoy doing it, it makes perfect sense. You know, as long as you're curious, you're not dead. So, you have time to learn about things. And if you're curious about learning things, you should. I actually enjoy painting hair like this. Looks great. Yeah. I had a classmate. We did a hair study. Nice. Nice. It's a bit tricky. But if done right, it can look incredible. This is a bit too much. So I'm gonna leave it like that. Yeah, hair is a very noisy texture. So it can be a bit what is the word that I'm looking for here? No, it's not sentimental, but like let's go with volatile. Right? That's not what I want. That'll be okay. Actually, here, it's gonna be complicated because it's already pretty much pure white. I could do something. Right. So like this. I think. Usually in studies, I don't worry too much about hair, honestly. I just block it out. Might draw a, a stray strand here and there, but overall, like only for very long studies do I put any type of effort into it. I don't remember the last time that I drew realistic hair. It's one of those parts where the more time you spend on it, the less you're gonna gain. So kind of the nature of realism. Sometimes for that, less is more. Oop, saving. Good. Speaking of saving, I should save, because everything that's color has been done today, so that is a lot of information that I could have lost in a crash or something. Yep, that's a bad habit that I have, not saving enough. Remember that one time I did a 4-hour stream and didn't save a single time? That one was fun. Almost had a heart attack when I realized. Alright, man. What do you want? What do you want from me? I will enable autosave after this stream. Let me write here. Enable autosave. There. Starting tomorrow, I will have autosave enabled. It will work better with a spray. Good stuff, good stuff. So, starting from tomorrow, you won't be able to complain about this. Okay, I actually remembered now. Wednesday, there won't be a stream. It is a national holiday, and so I will have family home. And I just don't like streaming when they're home. Feels a bit weird speaking English the entire morning and having them around, so. It's like the stream itself is already a bit slow. So imagine being a slow stream and me being embarrassed from talking, like nothing would happen. Nah. It's sad to not stream, but done. Let's start with the golden part. No mic. Ah, nah, dude. Nah. I wouldn't do that. I don't have the skill of actually attracting people to see my stuff without mic. Like, some can make it here without a mic. I definitely can't. And besides, I like the experience of having chat and talking. You know? I think it's a fun experience. Are you telling me that you would watch this stream if it was no mic? Like, that would be depressing. Just a guy with average skills, maybe even below average. I actually don't know what's the average, but you know, not a necessarily incredible artist with no mic on Twitch and no following. Like, it would have been terrible. Doomed to stay in the lower pages. I mean, you can wonder all you want. You know, it's true, he won't watch it. It's just the nature of content. You know? There's gotta be a reason for people to watch. You know? In my case, I like to think that, you know, people eventually might want to stay because I try my best to interact. You know, talk about different topics and things like that. I remember the other day, so I study art, right? But I did other things previously, and I actually learned to program a little bit, like a tiny bit, right? Nothing even close to what you probably do. But I've learned a small amount of Python, although I pretty much forgot everything by now. Like, I literally don't remember anything from Python. But I worked with MATLAB, which sucked, right? Because I was in physics, and in the first year, you learn MATLAB and things like that for models, like physical models, simplified physical models and things like that. And it sucked. I didn't like it very much. Like, I liked how eventually the program would work and things like that, but overall, it just seemed like simple mathematics with extra steps, you know? Like, nothing that I was doing in the program, I couldn't do it or see it in my head. So I spent the entire class wondering exactly what I was doing there. I remember we were learning about how matrix multiplication could be related to a rotation, and so we started applying matrix multiplication in MATLAB, and I was bored out of my mind. Jesus. It's like, okay, man, I get it. Move on, you know, more important things. Ugh. And the syntax. I think you have to end every line Well, not every line, but you have to end most lines with a... Is it semicolon? What do you call it? Like the... Wait, I can't... The dot in this. Yeah. And I was constantly forgetting about that, and I was like, oh, why doesn't my code work? I checked the math like 500 times. It's all correct. I did it by hand, it works, and then I would look like at a red line that was flagged for bad syntax, and it was like, oh, it's missing a semicolon, and I was like, oh, okay. At least in that aspect, MATLAB was nice, because it would tell you, oh, you're missing writing here, like proper writing. But in other languages, they don't tell you that. There's like, you're just scavenging lines and lines of code for a small symbol that in our eyes changes nothing. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Ooh, I also learned Arduino, and surprisingly, I learned Arduino in art school because I studied multimedia. So that was fun. And I remember because I had the background from studying mathematics and things like that. When we weren't in class, I was pretty much the go-to guy to fix code. I would end up working in more than half of the class projects because they wanted to do creative things, you know, certain complicated things, at least for our level, and I would have to search possibilities in Arduino, and you know, I would have to be creative with the code because they weren't used to the syntax. Not the syntax, but they weren't used to programming, pretty much, how it works. Right? The ifs, the fors, the else ifs, the else, and other stuff. And I wasn't even that good. It was definitely entertaining. I think learning hardware, firmware, software is really valuable for programmers. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that reminds me of something. The other day, I learned that Roller Coaster Tycoon, the original, most degrees only teach software for computer science / software engineering. Yeah, yeah. I learned the other day. I learned that Roller Coaster Tycoon was made for the Macintosh, right? And the game, yeah, exactly. It was written in assembly, and for that, I think you need like a very high level of understanding of the system that you're working with. So to me, that is very, very impressive. Like a normal programmer, an average programmer for me is already impressive, but knowing how to do something like that is like beyond crazy for me. I can't even begin to understand. Imagine writing a program in binary, but like a complex program. I'm sure there are like simple programs that you can write in binary. But yeah, programming is very interesting, actually. It's just that, you know, the way that I was introduced to it was rather boring. But it's really cool. It's really cool. People did it back in the day. Yeah, I know. I remember being told like because the basis is binary and it's ones and zeros, there were in the beginning like shoe boxes with papers with holes in them, where I think a hole would be a 1 and not a hole would be a 0, or the other way around, doesn't matter, it's binary. And that you could basically not print, but you could stencil programs in paper, and then the machines would physically read the information in the paper. That's really cool. That's really cool. Oh, and another thing. All right, I need another canvas just to not ruin the time lapse. When I learned that we can write every single number as a power of 2 or as a sum of powers of 2, my mind exploded. But it makes sense. Right? And that's where binary comes from. Dude, when I learned that, it was insane. I was like, how did people thought up this, or thought this up? Like, how? Right? Who in their right mind is gonna think, oh, I bet I could write every single number as a sum of powers of 2? Oh. What? Right? Not only that, but you only need 1 of each. You don't need to repeat powers. She's crazy, right? Yeah, it makes sense. Maybe? Like just thinking about it, you know? It's incredible. I swear, man. People impress me in any area. People encode 0 as false and 1 as true. I mean, true. Yeah, that happens. Man, but... And nowadays, like, I think programming had another boom. Because now there are more great influencers, or not influencers, but great personalities in social media that work with programming. For instance, Michael Reeves, right? His work is very stupid, but at the same time, it shows the creative potential of programming. Right? You have an idea to automate a certain process, and it can happen. Like, you want to control selling and buying stocks with the goldfish, you can, right? That's like the ridiculous level of it all, and I love it. Yeah, there's like very little that he leaves for others, but he's also very pragmatic about it, right? I mean, not in the content, because it takes like a year to upload, although he does work a lot, but you know, it's like, oh, I needed this code, and I searched, and I have this code, and I stole it. Actually, I remember now a thing that happened. I remember the thing that happened. So basically, a colleague of mine in college wanted to have a sensor, or better yet, the idea that she had was lighting a matchstick, and with the flame turn on, or when the matchstick turned on or got lit up, it would turn on what's it called? It's like an array of LEDs or LEDs or whatever, right? So like you have the matchstick, and then you had like an array of LEDs, and I kid you not, like she was hard worker, right? And she was a hard worker, and she was very very close of actually achieving to do this. And basically she got a heat sensor, right? And so when you approach the matchstick to the heat sensor, she wanted it to send a signal to the Arduino that was constantly measuring temperature, and once it reached a certain point, the LEDs would turn on, and then there was like a small program for the sequence that they played. And it took, she asked for my help to actually make this work, and the amount of time that it actually took me to understand that this was measuring in Kelvin and it had to measure in Celsius. Dear God. Oh, it's like, it's not a hard thing to do, it's just remove a constant. Yeah, that's what I did. Like, it's consistently, it's constantly measuring the temperature, but I want that to be in Celsius, so I remove the distance between Celsius and Kelvin. Right, that's pretty much how I implemented the solution. But it's like, to figure out that part, bro, it took so long. It took way too long. I felt like an idiot. The weirdest goddamn problems. I swear to God. It's actually a good color. Good. I don't know, man. People that work in programming are absolute troopers. There's no way, no other way around it. Just, yeah, it's the law. It's the law. I don't make the rules, man. It's the law. And of course, you included. Absolute troopers. And I cherish programmers every day, because if they didn't exist, there would be no such thing as a digital tablet for me to draw on. Or servers to stream. So. To me, you're part of an essential workforce. I mean, it should be for everyone, honestly. Nowadays, the world is so automatized and digitized that if we ran out of programmers, uh, everything would be thrown into chaos. Okay. It's looking pretty decent, actually. 2 hours and a half. Not bad. Not bad. But we still have a few things to do. So, I'm gonna proceed in doing them. One thing that I'm excited about, although it's it's gonna take a while, is quantum computing. You know, in the recent years, there's been a lot of news about quantum computing and the possibilities around it. I think it's gonna be cool. The idea that I have, but again, this might be a wrong assessment since we were wrong before. Like, I remember, in the beginning of computation, people saying that the computer would always be a big machine, right? And so at the time, we weren't able to imagine computers in our desks, computers in our pockets, even, right? Because a smartphone is a computer, pretty much. And it's like I have difficulties in imagining a desktop quantum computer because we need temperatures close to absolute zero for the conditions necessary for all of those complex things to happen. I don't know if we're able to actually do that in a small device. But again, we were wrong before, we might be wrong again. A breakthrough in quantum computing. I've been a bit out of the loop, so if there was, I didn't see it. But yeah, it's exciting. With time, at the very beginning, quantum theory was weird because it kind of defied our perception of causality and things like that because of simultaneity of events and random chances, that old thing of God doesn't play dice. But we observed it, and it's the best theory we've got so far. So, and it's been pretty consistent. So, it's kind of hard to go against that. In fact, I did an experiment in college, which is the double slit experiment. And since then, my mind has been kind of scrambled about it because it makes no sense. But when explained with the quantum mechanics context, it makes more sense, but it's still a bit hard to understand. Imagine like being used to programming either ones or zeros and now having to program in what's the right word here? It starts with P. It's related to probability, but it wasn't that. It was like, instead of being either 1 or 0, it's any possible combination of 0 and 1. Like, 2 zeros per 1, 1, or 2 ones per 1, 0. No, it's not permutations. It's a word like, imagine a recipe. The word that you use, I mean, we could use the word ratio. I think there's a word that starts with P that has the same meaning, but we can use the word ratio, right? Any ratio between 0 and 1. And it's like, that just boggles my mind even more. So I was already impressed with the whole thing of decomposing maybe probability. I don't know. It doesn't feel right, but maybe. Proportion. Proportion. That was what I was looking for. Proportion. I knew it. It started with P, and it was not probability. Like, you can decompose any natural number that isn't 0, because some people like to argue that 0 is a natural number, which kind of makes sense, but whatever. But you can decompose any natural number that isn't 0 as a sum of powers of 2. And then they just think, well, what if instead of zeros and ones, we just scramble everything? Like, the leaps in logic that they have to make in order to understand it. Oh my god. It's... And when I say leaps in logic, it's not like fractured logic where something doesn't fit. It's like leaps in logic as in gigantic progress, right? It's incredible. But it would be cool to have quantum computing. Although I think a solution, although it's not very pragmatic. But a solution for that could be instead of having the quantum computer with us, it would stay somewhere else, and we would have the peripherals for input and the screen for the output, right? And other stuff that requires output. And the computer would stay in a place where it could have the conditions for that, you know? And we would just have a super fast network between the devices of input and that sort of stuff. I think that's at least a possible solution. Not the best solution, but a possible one, at least. I think I'm gonna try this. It actually doesn't look half bad. I'm just spitballing here. But I think at least that would work with quantum computing for like everyday use. I mean, and who knows if we, because it is rumored that quantum entanglement is instant. Maybe we could have entangled devices, and so the input and output is instant. So you would have pretty much a workable network that doesn't have a problem with lag. Imagine that. Imagine not having a problem with lag. Oh my god. That would be insane. Like, the only lag would be from, you know, crunching the actual numbers instead of having to make the information travel. But, you know, that's, I don't want to say that's science fiction, but if it is possible, it would be, like, way too far. Way too far. We are not capable of that yet. And we might not ever be capable of doing such a thing. But you know, a guy can dream, right? Not having lag in my online video games. Because priorities. I remembered something that I had to do here, but I forgot. Oof, that's terrible. I remembered something, but I completely forgot what it was. And it's just my priority, alright? Not having lag in my video games. I think it's a good priority. But it also has other implications, like if you are capable of establishing communication without lag, or with a minimal amount of lag just from, you know, processing data, you could potentially communicate with spacecrafts without lag. Right? Which would be very useful for, you know, space missions. Like imagine you have two entangled particles, you know, one in the... Yeah, I don't know. It's like it was rumored that it was instantaneous. I don't know what they mean by that, but I always had the idea that it was faster than light somehow. But I might be wrong about this. I might be wrong. But if it is faster than light, you know, and it's quote unquote instantaneous, right? Imagine a particle here and a particle in a spacecraft, and imagine that you're changing the polarity of that particle, and you can use that as a 1 and a 0 for Morse code. Just you know, just messing with a particle, and then the message would be transmitted here immediately, and you could decrypt it. That would be interesting. But I also think we kind of had difficulties in keeping the particles entangled for long periods of time. I think they eventually come out of that state. So that's another thing that needs to be figured out. That's definitely not going to be by me. If you gotta go, you gotta go, man. Sleeping is important. It's what keeps us productive. Yes, I will continue to ponder the philosophical artist. Thinking about the areas which are not my expertise. Thank you. And also, thank you for showing up. Have a good night's rest. Gonna put a soft light on the other side. I'm gonna see how it looks first. So we have this, right? And we're gonna add a multiply just to darken things a little bit. Doesn't need to be anything way too extreme. You know, just to darken things a little bit. Because there's a lot of light here. But we shouldn't be too afraid of darkening things. Yeah, now continuing this subject by myself. You know, technology is going in an interesting place. Obviously, there's a couple of things here and there that are kind of weird, like the Hyperloop. I don't think that was a good idea. I don't think a lot of people think that was a good idea. Like, just improve the already existing infrastructure. People from the past didn't know everything, but they weren't stupid either. Like, the train is a very good invention, you know? The bus is a very good invention. If you can make more people take the bus reliably, you know, you can increase the traffic density without jamming everything. Because there's more people per vehicle. Or not per vehicle, per area. So, that's always interesting. Yes. I needed to be a little softer, honestly. But all in all, technology, I think it's going in a decent direction. The amount of creativity that we have always astonishes me. There seems to be no limit to it, you know? In a way, it's inspiring. We all have our limits when it comes to what we're capable of. But just knowing that we're pretty much the same as so many incredible people that have lived, you know, means that you might not be as successful as they are, but you have a lot of potential, you know. Alright, that part definitely looks weird. Actually, it looks kind of nice, right? Who knew that working hard would make things look nice? Yeah. So we've been at it for close to 3 hours. I am going to think of a simple background, and I think I'm going to leave it there. I actually like this. Surprising. All right, we will work with this. Okay. Gaussian blur. Blur. Okay, we're gonna cancel, and we're actually gonna duplicate this layer so that the top layer is actually blurred. Okay. So this one is going to be, but the back one won't. We make a transition between them. To be honest, I'm not very good with backgrounds. I think you can tell. Do I want something like this? I don't know. Might not even invest that much on a background. Might just... Right. Something like this, maybe. Might just put a little bit of color. Feels kind of sad that it doesn't have a color, right? Oof, that's too bright. Okay. Maybe doing this one. No, I think I'll leave it like this. I'm really running out of ideas for the background anyway. Let's save. I think the final result is good. Yeah. Although it was an original pose, so I still have some gripes with certain body parts, but nah, I think it's okay. So that is it for Jean. And also the stream. So I hope you enjoyed today's stream. Tomorrow I will be back because tomorrow is Tuesday, right? Tomorrow is Tuesday? Yes, tomorrow is Tuesday. So I will be back. And we will start working on Amber. I think it's going to be a fun challenge. She has a lot of skin, so I can practice coloring skin. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you all so much for watching. Whether it was on the stream or on the VOD or clips of the stream. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.